Have you ever felt like you were restricted in a way where you couldn't fully bring out your inner self, your values and beliefs, goals and motivations? You couldn't fully express yourself. And this was because of factors that restrict you, like being at school for one, and thus being unable to talk about controversial topics surrounding sensitive issues openly. And then other times, perhaps you felt like an absolute rebel. You want to break the rules because there are rules held in place, and these hold you back from truly being yourself. Like saying no for the first time to strict parents who never let you go out, you get that little bliss of freedom, and that wanting for more just keeps growing. Let's be honest, these experiences, they're completely natural. Texts represent these subjective, individual, and collective human experiences which shape our identity by delving into existentialism, or the meaning of life. They give insight into the anomalies in human behavior and their motivations, and how on earth they actually come about. And this, in turn, challenges our assumptions by revealing the ways different individuals are impacted. Both Yorgos Lanthimos' dystopian film The Lobster and Kurt Vonnegut's short story Bergeron represent the rebellious and complex nature of individuals against an unjust system and the collective human experience to establish how far individuals will go to obtain individual autonomy. But first, let's talk about laws. They're essentially what keeps a society structured and safe, right? But when society is based around a single law, it can become oppressive, dictating our every move and putting pressure into the everyday actions we take. In Bergeron, Vonnegut represents a world revolving around the law of being all equal, and this is controlled by the wearing of physical and mental handicaps 24/7 to restrain the rebellious nature of humans by interrupting intelligent thought. Similarly, in the world of The Lobster, Lanthimos takes our value on human companionship to the extreme. And when I mean extreme, I mean that it is a crime to be single. And if you're still single within the 45 days you're given at the hotel, you'll be turned into an animal. What we see here is that society restricts the collective from being unique. We're in a game of whack-a-mole where every single time we come up to rebel, societal expectations only hammer us down again. This is evident in Bergeron through the two contrasting individuals, Hazel and George. Hazel is the average person and can only remember things in short bursts, so she's not restricted by any handicaps. While George, on the other hand, is smarter than the average person, so he is restrained by a little metal handicap radio in his ear. The minute people start cheating on laws, what do you think happens to society? A siren was going off in George's head. Reckon it'd fall all apart. What would? Said George blankly. The anomalous yet ephemeral behavior that drives George to think rebellious thoughts in the first place represents an aspect of individual autonomy through the impulsive act of questioning the society he lives in. But he doesn't get very far. Hazel's "reckon it fall all apart" is interjected by George's "what would" to expose his inability to rebel against an unjust system, even though rebellion is part of the human nature. And this is because of that thing in his ear. But what it also indicates is that Hazel, who is simple-minded, hasn't fully formed her thoughts yet before immediately being sucked back into the same cycle of uncertainty that society experiences. This reveals that the collective is restricted by society's laws, preventing them from being unique individuals and hence challenging our assumptions that in a world like ours, we may be under the control of the government and not even know it. From this, Vonnegut gives us the chance to value our own uniqueness before it is taken away from us, forever. The same goes to show with The Lobster. To be partnered up with someone, all that is needed are the most surface level similarities. If two people are nearsighted or even have a common obsession with butter biscuits, that's chemistry. It makes life look so meaningless, so shallow, kind of like the government's way of hooking people up. Ugh. But what makes this more of a restrictive society is the fact that most of them don't even have names. Instead, they're defined by their traits, like, for instance, if you are prone to nosebleeds, you are the nosebleed woman. Society has stripped away their personal identity, making it useless to even rebel and obtain individual autonomy anyways. Let me give you an example. The slight low angle of this medium long shot displays how much the nice hair woman looks down on David, the main character. He represents the collective singles who conform to society's expectations instead of staying true to themselves and who they really are. The nice hair woman states,
"Nice hair is not something you can get. It's something you're born with."
To show that her resolve in being a unique individual is so strong, she doesn't even have the desire to be paired with someone like her. In this way, she is an anomaly who is willing to obtain that individual autonomy to make her own decisions and be rebellious against a restrictive society. But then again, her descent only results in the consequence of turning into an animal in the end, blatantly highlighting how futile being unique in a restrictive society is. As an audience, we always assume that being unique is more favorable than being the same as everyone else. But the Lobster challenges this by pointing out how useless the nice hair woman's anomalous behavior was, because her rebellious actions to obtain individual autonomy actually didn't get very far due to society. And this just questions whether it is even worth it being rebellious at all. This brings me to my next point. Individuals are rebellious because they desire freedom. And it's true. If women never rebelled, feminism wouldn't be a thing. Rebellion is what makes us human. It's what challenges assumptions and changes the world. Vonnegut's representation of rebellion is clearly displayed through Harrison Bergeron, who breaks free of his 300 pounds looking like a walking junkyard handicaps in order to wake society up. Through the visual and auditory imagery and similes, Harrison tore the straps of his handicap harness like wet tissue paper, thrust his thumbs under the bar of the padlock, snapping it like celery. We are immediately given an image of someone who is ridiculously strong, both physically and mentally. It establishes where, in a world that restricts individuals from displaying their true potential selves, Harrison is an anomaly, different from the rest because of his belief that talent should be recognized rather than regarding everyone as absolute equals. This is further portrayed through the repetition of law in "Into the air they sprang." Not only were the laws of the land abandoned, but the law of gravity and the laws of motion as well, to imply how Harrison's rebellious nature has, for the moment, shattered all the laws that made up an equal society. He is directly showing talent and the temporary freedom he experiences from it with a single leap into the air. His strong sense of individual autonomy and willingness to share his desire for freedom with a collective society who was unable to seek freedom themselves is apparent through his individual actions of rebellious dissent against an unjust system. This challenges our assumptive world because we've always known equality to be a good thing. It's where everyone has equal status, rights, and opportunities, but not in this case. Vonnegut twists equality in the opposite direction, and it turns out it's for the good because he tells us what it really means to be rebellious is our complex nature as individuals and our ability to challenge the status quo that makes us strong in the fight for freedom. Similarly, Lanthimos represents an aspect of rebellion through David, who desperately tries to escape from the hotel and its societal expectations. To give context, David was so pressured by society that he lied right through his teeth about being heartless, to have a similar trait to the heartless woman.
I think we are a match.
Yes, I think so too.
I don't know about you, but that sounds like a terrible idea. What's even worse is that he got caught lying.
These aren't tears, it's just water. I just washed my face.
I knew you were lying. I can't understand why you did it, when you know as well as anyone that a relationship cannot be built on a lie. We're going to the hotel manager right now, and you'll get the punishment you deserve.
What's the punishment for this?
They turn you into the animal no one wants to be.
The accusatory tone the heartless woman uses as David stands in shame expresses the disappointment that he faces because he didn't meet society's expectations. This guilt doesn't last though. As the heartless woman literally drags him to the hotel manager, he elbows her in the stomach, realizing that his anomalous behavior is what drives his survival, and if he could stop playing by the rules of society, he wouldn't be turned into an animal. Good on you, David. Then to sum things up, he gets chased, tranquilizes the heartless woman, and plays an Uno reverse card by dragging her into the transformation room, as can be seen in this wide shot. Transforming the heartless woman into an animal was his first main rebellious action against society, and it was this that acted as his motivation to continue rebelling, justifying how far he is willing to go to obtain that bit of freedom and escape from the hotel. We assume that rebellion is supposed to be one giant attack that beats all, but this challenges that by saying that it is just a little rebellious action that catalyzes for more and much stronger ones to achieve the freedom we all want. In the end, humans are still restricted by society, and there is nothing we can do about it. But both Harris and Bergeron and the Lobster challenges these assumptions through the anomalous yet rebellious behaviors and motivations of the individual and collective human experience against an unjust system. No matter how long it takes or how difficult the path is to get there, we continue pursuing individual autonomy, one step at a time, through our rebellious nature and desire for freedom, until we can truly understand ourselves and live our lives with meaning. Thank you.